Here we go, one more time. Everybody's feeling fine. Here we go now. I'm definitely that type of girl. Okay, welcome to my channel. This is my first ever reaction video. I feel like I should bring this closer to my face just to ensure that the audio is something worth listening to. But today we're going to be reacting to Hassan Abi. I'm excited to see what he's saying because I actually have not watched the full Joe Biden press conference that he had post his little investigation. So let's see what it's all about. Okay.
I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter.
With my ghostwriter, I did
Bro,
not.
what is he doing? Dude, Dark Brandon Unleashed? Bro, this is like when I start yelling at all my haters and pull them up to debate them. Have you seen this about Biden? The report on Biden's handling of classified documents predicts that a jury wouldn't convict him because it would find him a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Oh, wait, what? I've never been more vindicated in my entire life. Oh my God. Oh my God. Where are the libtards now? Where are the liberals now? I am so goddamn vindicated. Oh my God. Hassan, there's a massive crime wave. Why are you pro-crime? Vindicated. Turns out everybody was lying about it, just like I said. There's a massive problem with immigration. How do we deal with immigration? Vindicated. I can't believe you're saying Joseph Robinette Brandon is demented. Turns out he is so goddamn demented that a jury saw that too.
But one of the main things that people pointed out when he was running, apart from his credentials, is his cognitive decline. Like the way that he talks in general has been terrible relative to how he was during the vice presidential debates in 2012 and 2008. There are signs of significant cognitive decline, and then you saw it early in his presidency as well.
Special counsel Robert Hur says that there's evidence President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials, but he will not be charged. We also have considered that at trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury as he did during our interview of him as a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory, it said. Based on our direct interactions and our observations of him, he is someone whom many jurors will want to identify reasonable doubt. It would be difficult to convince a jury that they should convict him, by then a former president well into his 80s, of a serious felony that requires a mental state of willfulness. Oh my God, dude. They said
if it's cognitive decline, child, it's cognitive decline, and he is not capable of being president.
He's literally too old to do crime. Remember what I've talked about before with like old people? There's like a certain age that if you're above that and you do a crime, you should be able to get away with it because it's like a baby doing a crime. This is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is literally
not a baby, child.
At that stage in his life. It's babies and it's old people. When you get to that certain point and you have the mechanical skills of a baby and your brain is like withered away, that you are like a baby with a baby brain. Joe Biden is literally at that stage in his life. Oh my God. It's so sick. It's so sick. How does that not legally disqualify you from being the president? Look, the most charitable interpretation of this special counsel report is that Biden is playing it up for a jury. That's what liberals will probably say. But god damn, dude, how much do you think the story will come up during the election year, the Biden broken brain problem? Well, considering that it's Joseph Robinette Biden's #1 issue, this is literally like the Republicans' abortion issue. You know what I mean?
Why does he keep saying Robinette? I don't get it. It is Robinette. Is that his mom's last name? No. Finnegan. What is the Robinette, child? I do not get it, but work, mama.
I mean, Democrats have one issue that they can always hammer on this election cycle and possibly in perpetuity. That issue is abortion. Republicans cut off access to abortion. They will always hit that vein every single time. For the Republicans, they can always say Biden is senile. Biden is senile. Biden is dumb. Biden is stupid. And it's true. How long until the liberals start saying, wow, you must be one, Vladimir Putin backed, and two, backed by the MAGA party, because you are also saying that Biden is senile, by the way. How much you want to bet that that is what's going to happen? Let's go to CNN to see how they're covering. Let's go to Fox News to see how they're, let's go to CNN first. I have to see what they're saying about this.
Trump, repeatedly given the chance to cooperate in his investigation, did not. That is not what happened with Biden. But there's another part here, which is, does this politically invalidate that case? And that...
God, Republicans are so good at like showing liberal hypocrisy. They're going to eat this up. If he willfully retained classified documents, okay, and then he gave it up when the investigators were like, let's get your documents. What's happening? Are there any classified documents here? Yes, he's like one step above Donald Trump, who very stupidly decided not to do that for some weird reason, which I still do not understand.
I mean, there are more than just 6 or 7 different examples of him not remembering. And just to this week, as Sean's point
Free Palestine, of course. Ceasefire now. Ding.
was, you know, he's not doing a Super Bowl interview. He's not giving press conferences. The former president sat in front of the cameras today and gave an entire news conference on what he thinks the Supreme Court decision is going to mean for him. And we haven't heard from Joe Biden in quite some time. So it's hard to make for the country to believe the argument that he's sharp as a tack. And when you read this and you hear some of the current statements and the absolute fact that he's not going to go before the country and answer a few questions from CBS, which is not going to exactly throw him Nolan Ryan curveballs.
I'm not going to lie. This is like way chiller than I thought. I thought they would be going dicko mode. I thought they'd be going sicko mode and dicko mode at the same time. It feels like CNN is going harder than Fox News.
It's not pretty in the Department of Justice either. But the considerations as to why you're going to encase that sausage are all about how you can prove your case. And cooperation goes a very long way. Why? Not because it's a way of sort of kissing up, but because
I think the liberals actually want him out, and they've been courting, or at least like courting the idea of somebody else running for quite some time. He wasn't supposed to actually run for a second term, if I am correct. And I think a lot of people are not here for it.
It undermines before a jury the notion that somebody is intentionally engaged in behavior that was nefarious and criminal.
Look, my assessment of this is that liberals will say, like, the defense of this will be, oh, they're not saying he's senile. They're saying he's well-intentioned and he comes across as like a kind, loving old man.
No,
and that's the reason why there would be reasonable doubt. And it's actually Republican framing and Republican propaganda to like claim senility. That's what I would say. If I'm a DNC PR person, I'm turning around, one, getting mad at every single person even bringing this up, because it's like, it's very obvious to me.
It's very ageist what you're doing, and in reality he is much more with it than you think. And then it's like they're gonna pump him with whatever anti-dementia pills or medication and throw him out there to do something. I'm excited to see the press conference, but we gonna see, child.
Me that you guys are, you know, it's 9 o'clock Kremlin time, it seems. What happened? Did the Tucker Carlson interview not satisfy your needs for Vladimir Putin's? And then I'm turning around and saying that it's not actually that he's senile. He just like reads as that in a courtroom. And that's enough of a legal standard for reasonable doubt.
We compare this most directly with the images we've seen from the Mar-a-Lago case, the positioning of the documents, the accessibility to people from the Mar-a-Lago resort and beyond. And while I hesitate to compare these two cases directly, how can one help but do so in this instance?
God damn, dude. God damn. Well, Trump put his documents on a stage. Obviously, the difference is between like Trump and Biden is that Donald Trump refused after they found out that he still retained classified documents. That's the major difference here. Once the federal government came and was like, you have these documents, we want them, Trump was like, sure, I'll give them to you, and then didn't, right? And lied and actively obstructed justice and actively obstructed the investigation. Trump is still comically guilty in this situation. Biden, on the other hand, immediately was like, go ahead, take all the documents. I don't give a Like, he opened up all of the doors and allowed the investigators to go in and take all the documents and make an assessment. Same with Mike Pence. So the major difference there is that he cooperated with the government and gave up all of the documents that he had, because it's supposed to be like a lighter criminal punishment, if any criminal punishment is given at all. So Mike Pence and Joe Biden cooperated, Trump didn't. That's the major difference here. But I think that what is more important in this situation, what they found is that he did actually retain classified documents. There was suspicion of, for sure. However,
classified
no
documents.
charges will be given to Joe Biden, which comes across to a lot of dummies as though there is like a two-tier justice system. Like, oh, I can't believe that there's no charges. But worst of all, not only are there no charges, part of the reasoning for why there are no charges is because they claim that Joe Biden, while looking careless, would come across as too senile and too well-intentioned to a jury where there would be too much reasonable doubt. It's the worst of all worlds. The best of all worlds would be Biden is actually mentally cognizant, mentally coherent, but also he didn't have any classified materials.
Right.
No charges because this is just what you do when you discover classified documents, or just saying specifically that, like, yes, of course, no charges because, like, he didn't know that he had it, right? And same with Mike Pence. If they found classified documents in Mike Pence's hands, they're not going to convict him either because he cooperated. Whereas with Trump, the major problem is they were like, hey, you have classified documents, we want them back. First he was like, no. Then he was like, sure. And then he just like retained some of those documents and refused to give them back. For what reason? I do not know. I suspect it was because he's a hoarder and he wanted to like flex to Kid Rock, as I said even back then, which is pretty funny and really stupid. I brought this up when the document saga was first popping off, where I told you, like, this is something that a lot of presidents do, and that it is like reasonable for someone to like bring classified documents. What is not reasonable is when the federal government asks for said documents back and you just refuse to give them back. That's the area where it is not reasonable. And that's precisely what's going on. That's the major difference here between the Biden case and, I guess, the Trump case. And not just the Biden case, but also the Mike Pence case. Like, nobody's talking about Michael Pence. Why is nobody talking about Michael Pence?
Because
what happened to Michael
cares.
Pence? Well, what happened to Michael Pence is the exact same thing that happened to Joe Biden. Mike Pence was under the same scrutiny and had that same exact investigation that Joe Brandon went under at the same time, as a matter of fact, for classified documents. And they went to his house as well, and they retrieved a bunch of documents. I don't know if they actually found any classified documents, but, you know, that is the same exact thing that happened with Joe Biden. Her writes that Biden's practices present serious risks to national security, and then Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials after his vice presidency. Her writes, because the box was damaged and not able to properly package classified material, the agents transferred its contents to a new box for transport. The photographs below show the contents of the garage box in the original box and the new box. The Facts First folder contained over 200 pages of documents related from the fall of 2009 Afghanistan policy review with a date range approximately August through October 2009. Her writes that Biden did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended. He did not remember even within several years when his son Beau died. In an added letter at the end of the report, Biden lawyer Bob Bauer and special counsel Richard Salber wrote, "We do not believe that the report's treatment of President Biden's memory is accurate or appropriate. The report uses highly prejudicial language. Excuse me, you are now looking a gift horse in the mouth and saying, I don't like the teeth. These mother like, hey, we got away with this. We got away with retaining classified documents. And this is part of the reason why this was brought forward as like a reason as to why we shouldn't even prosecute. We shouldn't even like, you know, bring forward charges because like juries will look at us like we're. Meanwhile, well, that's one of the reasons why they didn't even press charges. Big homie's saying that's a up way. So what do you want? You want the smoke or not? Anyway, Bauer letter continued. In fact, there is ample evidence from your interview that the president did well in answering your questions about the years-old events over the course of 5 hours. His interview began the day after the October 7 attacks. Oh, dude, he was emotional after October 7. That's why he couldn't answer properly on when his son died. You don't understand.
Oh my God.
Your Honor, I was feeling emotional. Back to Her's report. Mr. Biden's memory was significantly limited, both during his recorded interviews with the ghostwriter in 2017 and his interview in our office in 2023. Okay? Holy moly. And his cooperation with our investigation, including by reporting to the government that the Afghanistan documents were in his Delaware garage, will likely convince some jurors that he made an innocent mistake, rather than acting willfully, that is, with the intent to break the law as the statute requires. I think that's also another big component here that we must not forget, and that is that there needs to be a willful intent to retain classified documents, and that you can't chalk it up as a mistake. Wait, so they concede he wasn't willful? No, he's saying that because they cooperated with the investigation and literally told the government that he had the Afghan documents in his Delaware garage, he didn't have willful intent to break the law. If he obstructed justice deliberately, even like charges that you can hit him on with obstruction of justice, you can't really do that because he comes across as like too sympathetic of a criminal for a jury, because they'll say, oh, he's old and doesn't remember remember a lot of stuff. But in areas where he does remember he took and retained classified documents, he's openly cooperating with the investigators to say, go ahead, take it. I have it in my house, in my Delaware house. I have these documents. Her writes, it would be difficult to convince a jury they should convict him, by then a former president who will be at least well into his 80s, of a serious felony that requires a mental state of willfulness. Third, as discussed to some extent above, Mr. Biden will likely present himself to the jury, as he did during his interview with our office, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
So nice.
While he is and must be accountable for his actions, he is, after all, the president of the United States. Based on our direct observations of him, Mr. Biden is someone for whom many jurors will want to search for reasonable doubt. It would be difficult to convince the jury they should convict him, by then a former president who will be at least well into his 80s, of a serious felony that requires a mental state of willfulness. His defense is basically when he's lucid, he cooperates, and yes, when he's not lucid, it comes across as sympathetic to a jury, which will definitely find reasonable doubt. Because the point is, did he retain classified documents with malicious intent, knowing full well that he was in violation of the law, or was he not doing that? And they're saying that this is not like an easy to prove case because of how old he is and because he also cooperated with the investigation. Okay. Law tip: this basically goes to the insanity defense, wherein a defendant may assert the defense if they did not appreciate the wrongfulness of their conduct due to their mental state. This report basically is saying that Biden was so demented that he literally didn't know he was doing crime. That person also has the nuclear codes, by the way. I don't think that they're saying that he was so demented that he didn't know he was doing the crime. I think they're saying that he will come across so demented, or rather, he'll come across positive.
He'll come across as an old man that, not only does he not know where he is, he doesn't know that he has these things.
Special counsel Hur said Biden had diminished faculties and faulty memory in their interview. Given the intelligence the military officials present and the topics discussed at the meetings, Mr. Biden encounters Zwonitzer. Mr. Biden would have realized that his notes did or were likely to contain classified information, but taken as a whole, the evidence will likely leave jurors with reasonable doubts about whether Mr. Biden knew he was sharing classified information with Zwonitzer and intended to do so. Mr. Biden's apparent lapses and failures in February and April 2017 will likely appear consistent with the diminished faculties and faulty memory he showed in the Zwonitzer's interview recordings and in our interview of him. Therefore, we conclude that the evidence does not establish that Mr. Biden willfully disclosed national defense information to Zwonitzer. The passages Mr. Biden read to Zwonitzer on April 10th, 2017 contain information that remains classified up to the secret level. Do you understand? He retained and disclosed classified information to a third party that did not have security clearance, which is a clear violation of the law. But when you look at the intent side, in this circumstance, the interview that he was conducted had many instances where he literally had demonstrated genuine gaps in his memory that he basically didn't know what he was doing. Like, he didn't know that it was classified information. He was too senile to recognize that the information that he was delivering to Zwonitzer was classified information. Because if he's not senile in that circumstance, he's having a Kid Rock moment, okay? He's having a Trump Kid Rock moment in that circumstance where he's basically willingly giving up classified information to someone who does not have a top secret security clearance to be able to handle classified intelligence. Situation room meeting from the summer of 2015. Immediately before discussing the notebook entry, Mr. Biden discussed extremely personal notebook entries touching on the illness and death of his son Beau, its effects on the family, and the wrenching decision about whether to run for president in 2016. After discussing these highly emotional topics, Mr. Biden turned immediately to the notebook entry from the summer of 2015 Situation Room meeting, which began on the very next page of the notebook, and read additional portions of the entry nearly verbatim, including the portions of the entry he read to Zwonitzer during the February 16th, 2017 meeting. The passengers Mr. Biden read to Zwonitzer on April 10th, 2017 contain information that remains classified up to the secret level. The Afghanistan documents were ultimately found in Mr. Biden's Delaware home in a badly damaged box in the garage near a collapsed dog crate, a dog bed, a Zappos box, an empty bucket, a broken lamp wrapped with duct tape, potting soil, and synthetic firewood. Do you think they dropped Biden? Dude, they didn't drop Biden before. Why would they drop him now? No, we're stuck. We're riding with Biden whether we like it or not, folks. Matty Iglesias is mad. You appoint a Republican special counsel to investigate. He investigates. The investigation does not reveal a crime. So instead of saying all good, he goes off and does partisan political hits. Now sit down, young folks, and I'll tell you how we got here. It all started when Bill Clinton walked across the tarmac. I don't like that he's saying that you appointed a Republican special counsel to investigate. He investigates. His investigation does not reveal a crime. No, his investigation did reveal a crime, just not one that is like ready to be prosecuted on conditions that you do not want to repeat on here because it goes against your arguments that Brandon is actually totally perfectly mentally cognizant and mentally coherent. That's the reason why he's upset. Right. Now, you can argue on the basis of whether or not the crimes that they're talking about are severe, right? Because they're not. But if you are...
Okay, I have no idea where it cut off. We are going to start at 1632.
that you appointed a Republican special counsel to investigate. He investigates. His investigation does not reveal a crime. No, his investigation did reveal a crime, just not one that is like ready to be prosecuted on conditions that you do not want to repeat on here because it goes against your arguments that Brandon is actually totally, perfectly mentally cognizant and mentally coherent. That's the reason why he's upset. Now, you can argue on the basis of whether or not the crimes that they're talking about are severe, right? Because they're not. But if you argue that the crimes that he's talking about are not severe, then you actually basically remove one element of the Trump classified document saga, that it's like not sufficiently severe enough crimes that Trump was engaging in on the document saga that he engaged in obstruction of justice over.
The special counsel released their findings today about their look into my handling of classified documents. I was pleased to see they reached a conclusion I believed and knew all along they would. That there are no...
that my mental faculties are not all right.
Special counsel acknowledged I cooperated completely. I did not throw up any roadblocks. I sought no delays. In fact, I was so determined to give special counsel what they needed, I went forward with a 5-hour in-person interview over the 2 days of October the 9th, 8th and 9th last year, even though Israel had just been attacked.
Bro, even though Israel had just been attacked, brother, what are you talking about? What is that? He's like, man, you don't understand. My heart bled. I was in an emotional moment for myself. Israel had been attacked when Bo had died. This is actually pretty coherent for Brandon. He's actually doing a good job. Got to hand it to him.
The 2 days
But he's
of
slurring
October
his
the
words,
9th, 8th and
nonetheless.
9th last year, even though Israel had just been attacked by Hamas on the 7th. I was in the middle of handling an international crisis.
He got that good, dude. They gave him the good drugs today. He got that good adrenochrome here, okay? Whatever kind of cocktail they had, it was hitting. He did a good job. I
Very
can't believe
good.
that the
Got a
way
good
that we
night's
are
sleep.
analyzing the leader of the free world, the most powerful person on the planet, is like how mentally coherent he can present himself in 59-second increments. That
Literally.
is insane.
It's really ridiculous because after watching Putin's interview with Tucker Carlson, you just want to sit back and think, oh, my president literally cannot do that. Definitely not for no 2 hours. Ciao.
That is insane. Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah.
is
Bradley
insane.
Moss, Esquire, says the current president has a poor memory. The former president has a poor memory, has been indicted 4 times, was found liable for sexual assault, oversees a company convicted of tax fraud, and unleashed a mob on January 6th. Give me the well-meaning elderly man. It's so Jover. This kind of basically shows me that like the Democratic Party can literally do everything that the Republican Party is doing, and liberals will still go, yeah, we're still voting for D. We're still voting D, baby, no matter what. That's it.
Blue,
I
no
get
matter
it. Like
who.
they could literally be like, we are adopting the Republican Party's agenda 100%. Okay, not saying that they have, by the way. I don't think they have. But even if they did, there would still be plenty of people who are like, no, I'm voting blue no matter who, baby. It's team sports. I think the immigration stuff and like the Biden mishandling of the immigration on the messaging front, on the legislative front, is a perfect, clear demonstration that these guys don't care because they keep looking and going, well, the alternative is even worse. On the issue of immigration,
though it's
it
getting
doesn't
weaker and
matter if
weaker.
the alternative is worse. If the current guy that you voted so he doesn't do the alternative is literally doing the alternative is worse moment.
We're gonna
Like,
close
what do you
down the
mean?
border.
The distinction
That's
is
what
not whether or not the person that has like incredibly restrictive white.
So just so you know, if you don't know already, in response to Texas pretty much having barbed wire, essentially killing the asylum seekers, literally going through the actual border, proper asylum process, trying to cross the border to seek asylum from Latin America, they put barbed wire around that border entry point. And now, because that's against federal legislation, I guess America or Joe Biden is acting in a way to control the situation and says, well, you know what? If immigration is such a hard thing for you, then we're just going to close down the border.
Nativist, inhumane, anti-immigrant policies has a D next to their name or an R next to their name. If that's the only distinction on that issue, then there is no distinction. Robert Hur clearly decided to go down the Jim Comey path of filing his report absolving Biden of criminal activity with ad hominem attacks, like calling him an elderly man with poor memory, not remotely subtle, just a right-wing hit job from within Biden's own DOJ. Wild. Robert Hur's interviews with Biden were on October 8th and October 9th, days if not hours after the October 7th Hamas attack. If he seemed distracted, there's a pretty good reason why that doesn't require her to speculate on what conclusion a fictitious jury might have. Okay, then file charges then? Like, what are they saying? This is a double bind for that reason. It's a double bind because then it's like, okay, well, then he has enough to file and actually go to court. Like, he was actually perfectly mentally cognizant. And also, another part of his mental cognition is from 2017 when he revealed classified information to a interviewer who did not have top secret classification. So what's up? It was in 2017, was there another Hamas attack? Like, what's going on? You can't make this argument. That's why I said it's like a perfect double bind. It's super cooked. Special counsel Biden showed diminished faculties and faulty memory in both interview recordings with his ghostwriter and when they interviewed him, during which the report said he had gotten worse. Couldn't remember when he was vice president or when his son died. As in the report. How do you think his faculty decline compares to Trump's? I've said this before. Trump is insane, but coherent. Biden is not coherent. That's the issue. Biden, or at least the Biden administration, still can like exhibit a little bit of rational behavior. Here's why this should never be an issue. If Biden wasn't running, this would not be an issue. But because Biden is running, this is an issue. And this will continue to be the issue. And unfortunately, it's a very easy one that they can keep hitting Biden on. Because Biden is going to keep doing gaffes. He's going to keep doing gaffes because unfortunately, this is the one thing that time won't heal for Biden because he's competing against father time. So these are the high notes from the council report. Officials said in the report they would still have decided not to pursue charges even if current Justice Department guidance permitted charging a sitting president. Attorney General Merrick General. That's funny. Okay, Washington Post. Democracy dies in the darkness. What's happening? Is there not enough Jeff Bezos money? What's going on? Hire her dog was how do you do this? Appointed her as a special counsel in January 2023 to investigate the matter after Biden's aides said they discovered the materials when they searched his home and office. As they reported their discovery to officials, a separate investigation was already underway into former President Donald Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents, a probe that led to 40 criminal counts against Trump, including willful retention of national defense secrets and obstruction of justice. The report portrayed Biden as a well-intentioned but sometimes hapless and forgetful, a man who has access to classified materials throughout his government career. Biden saved notebooks from his time as VP that contained classified information according to the report and used those notebooks to craft his 2017 memoir with a ghost writer. The special counsel noted the published books ultimately did not contain classified information. Some of the classified documents were classified top secret, sensitive compartmented information, a category reserved for particularly sensitive material. They included papers that related to Afghanistan, including a 2009 memo he sent to then President Obama in a last-ditch effort to persuade him not to send it.
But I guess while I'm waiting for this to go on, the thing that I wanted to say was a lot of people make comments about commentary. So they're looking at headlines and not actually looking at the details of it. And just in looking through bits and pieces of this, the reason why this was even brought forth, if I'm correct, is because he was leaking that information already. So that's why it's such a big deal. I believe that's why he's under investigation in general. 17 in his interview with our office in 2023. Garland said that at the time, the special counsel appointments were necessary because both Trump and Biden had indicated they would be running for president in 2024. It was 7 years ago. Let it go. No, I love when people leak top secret classified intel. I'm very consistent on the matter, especially if it's like wrongdoings of the American government. And I also personally don't give a about mishandling classified documents time and time again, consistently during the Trump. However, of course, I'm still going to enjoy the show. But let's be for real. The major problem with the Trump situation is that when he was found to be retaining classified documents, he refused to give them up. He even went as far as to tell the prosecutors that he had given them up while still retaining the classified documents.
About their look into my handling of classified documents. I was pleased to see he reached a firm conclusion that no charges should be brought against me in this case. This was an exhaustive investigation going back more than 40 years, even into the 1970s when I was still a new United States Senator. The special counsel acknowledged I cooperated completely. I did not throw up any roadblocks. I sought no delays. In fact, I was so determined to give the special counsel what he needed, I went forward with a 5-hour in-person interview over 2 days on October the 8th and 9th of last year, even though Israel had just been attacked by Hamas on the 7th and I was very occupied. It was in the middle of handling an international crisis. I was especially pleased to see special counsel make clear the stark distinction and difference between this case and Mr. Trump's case. The special counsel wrote, and I quote, several material distinctions between Mr. Trump's case and Mr. Biden's are clear. Continuing to quote, most notably, after given multiple chances to return
will they talk about the part where they say he's like decrepit?
Mr. Trump allegedly did the opposite. According to the indictment, he not only refused to return the documents
they called me
for many
senile,
months,
Jack.
he also obstructed justice by enlisting others to destroy evidence and then to lie about it. In contrast, he went on to say Mr. Biden turned in classified documents to the National Archives and the Department of Justice, consented to the search of multiple locations, including his home, sat for a voluntary interview,
They put the good clock
and in
on
other
it.
ways cooperated with the investigation, end of quote. I've seen the headlines since the report was released about my willful retention of documents. These assertions are not only misleading, they're just plain wrong. On page 215, if you had a chance, I know it's a thick document. On page 215, the report of the special counsel found the exact opposite. Here's what he wrote. There is, in fact, a shortage of evidence that I willfully retained classified materials related to Afghanistan. On page 12, the special counsel also wrote, for another documents, the decision to decline criminal charges was straightforward.
I mean, it's silly of me to expect that he wasn't going to be reading off of the speech, but still.
Willfully retain these documents.
Will they talk about how they think he's senile?
Willfully retain these documents.
Will they talk about how he's senile?
I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that?
Oh, he's
Frankly,
mad.
when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, wasn't any of their damn business. Simple truth is I sat for a 5-hour interview over 2 days of events, going back 40 years. At the same time I was managing international crisis, their task was to make a decision about whether to move forward with charges in this case. That's their decision to make. That's the counsel's decision to make. That's his job. And they decided not to move forward. For any extraneous commentary, they don't know what they're talking about. It has no place in this report. The bottom line is the matter is now closed. I'm going to continue what I've always focused on, my job of being President of the United States of America. Now, thank you, and I'll take some questions.
Something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president, and I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. It's totally out.
I mean, it's actually kind of bad right now. Cost of living is through the roof.
My memory is so bad,
COVID was a shit show.
Speak.
There's political unrest with your
my memory is not good.
foreign
My memory is
policy
fine.
and military aid that you're
My
giving to
memory,
Israel.
take a look at what I've done
There's
since
a
I
lot.
become president.
There's a lot of shit
None of you
going
thought I
down.
could pass any of the things
Issues
I
at the
passed.
border,
How'd that happen?
trying to actually win an
No, I guess
election,
I
even
just
though you're
forgot.
completely
Uh-oh.
unelectable.
Mr. President.
This is not. It's kind of a wild thing for him to do. He's being a wild card. Uh-oh.
Mr. President.
Criminal liability today. Do you take responsibility?
Bro, this is like what I tell people all the time. Don't feed the trolls. He's feeding the trolls.
I take responsibility for not having seen exactly what my staff was doing. It goes in and points out things that appeared in my garage, things that came out of my home, things that were moved not by me but my staff.
It's things that you told people, though.
For months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, watch me. Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
Oh my God, he's yelling at reporters individually about how he's not old.
Mr. President, in December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? What is your answer to that question?
She lost her press badge
now. Be president of the United States and finish the job I started.
Finish. It's funny. I like it. No offense. I'm trying to do that. Finish language.
I did not share classified information.
You did. It says so in the report.
Bro, what is he doing?
No, he doesn't even remember that. He didn't read that damn document.
This is like when I start yelling at all my haters and pull them up to debate them.
The fact of the matter is, what I didn't want repeated, I didn't want him to know, and I didn't read it to him, was I had written a long memorandum to President Obama why we should not be in Afghanistan, and I was of multiple pages. And so what I was referring to, I said classified. I should have said it should be private because it was a contact between the president and the vice president as to what was going on. That's what it is referring to.
It was confidential,
it was not classified
secret
information in that document.
Secret
That was not classified.
called on me. When you look back at this incident, is there anything you would do differently now? And do you think that a special prosecutor should have been appointed in the first place in both of these cases?
First of all, what I would have done is oversee the transfer of the material that was in my office. I should have done that. If I go back, I didn't have the responsibility to that. That was my staff was supposed to do that, and they referenced that in the report. And my staff did not do it in the way that, for example, I didn't know how half the boxes got in my garage until I found out. Staff gathered them up, put them together, and took them to the garage in my home. And all the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. It was in my house. It wasn't out in like in Mar-a-Lago in a public place where, and none of it was high classified. Didn't have any of that red stuff on it. You know
if he had a stroke right now, this would dramatically change everything due to the medical grade cocaine that he has coursing through his veins.
Now, what was the last part of your question?
Special counsel should have been appointed in this case and in the case of your rival president, former president.
I think a special counsel should have been appointed. And the reason I think a special counsel should have been appointed is because I did not want to be in a position that they looked at Trump and weren't going to look at me, just like they looked at the vice president. And the fact is they made a firm conclusion. I did not break the law, period. Thank you all very, very much.
They didn't say you didn't break the law.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God.
They said you broke the law, but you're not convictable or prosecutable, or if those are words.
The hostage negotiation, look.
Oh, he's back! He's back for more! Oh! He said, I got that dog in me! One more!
As you know, that conduct of the response in the Gaza Strip has been over the top. I think that, as you know, initially, the president of Mexico...
I've seen this already, but still. It's still crazy to watch it with somebody else.
Sisi, president of Mexico? That's Egypt, dog!
I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate. I talked to Bibi to open the gate on the Israeli side. I've been pushing really hard.
Oh, I can't wait to have my own place, and then I can
There are a lot of innocent people who are starving. A lot of innocent people who are in trouble and dying. And it's got to stop, number one. Number two, I was also in a position that I'm the guy that made the case that we have to do much more to increase the amount of material going in, including fuel, including other items. I've been on the phone with the Qataris, I've been on the phone with the Egyptians, I've been on the phone with the Saudis to get as much aid as we possibly can into Gaza. There are innocent people, innocent women and children who are also in badly in need of help. And so that's what we're pushing. And I'm pushing very hard now
push for a ceasefire. How about that?
Hostage ceasefire. Because, you know, I've been working to deal with this hostage ceasefire. Because, you know, I've been working tirelessly in this deal. How can I say this without revealing it? To lead to a sustained pause in...
He said, how can I say this without saying it?
Taking place in the Gaza Strip. Because I think if we could get the delay for that, the initial delay, I think that we would be able to extend that so that we could increase the prospect that this fighting in Gaza changes. There's also negotiations. You may recall, in the very beginning, right before Hamas attacked, I was in contact with the Saudis and others to work out a deal where they would recognize Israel's right to exist, make them part of the Middle East, recognize them fully in return for certain things that the United States would commit to do. And the commitment that we were proposing to do related to two items. I'm not going to go in detail, but one of them was to deal with the protection against their arch enemy to the northwest,
going into confidential information and share it.
The second one,
while
by providing ammunition and material for them to defend themselves. Coincidentally, that's the time frame when this broke out. I have no proof what I'm about to say, but it's not unreasonable to suspect that the Hamas understood what was about to take place and wanted to break it up before it happened.
Wait, what? He said Hamas knew that the Abraham Accords were coming to completion and that's why they did it? Is that what he's saying? With no proof whatsoever? While also openly recognizing that I got no evidence for this. However, he did openly say, I never gave classified information up. He pulled a Trumpian ass move. He did some Trump saying like, oh, I didn't reveal or leak classified information. He had one major flub where he said the Mexican president Sisi when he was talking about Egypt. That part is not good, 100%. He keeps doing stuff like that. I'm shocked that he didn't do more of it, to be honest. But him yelling at reporters could actually play well. It could actually play well. He looked more dynamic than he ever has in months. Now, he still looks old as hell, obviously up there, but I don't know. I think that him yelling at reporters might play well. However, it might also backfire on him because I think that like when you engage with the media in that way, they're going to keep digging. They're going to dig their heels in and they're going to start going crazy mode over like, why did Biden say this? Is Biden turning just like turning into Trump? That sort of It's crazy when you see him like off script, when he like goes back for the second and you can just see his like synapses no longer are firing. That part is awful. But the first yelling part, depending on what they cover and what they choose to pay attention to, I don't know. Him yelling at reporters, not a bad look, especially when your major propaganda against you, like your biggest weakness is how not dynamic you are and how old you are.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, so just for anybody wondering what the Abraham Accords are, so it is the it says Arab-Israeli normalization. So signed between Israel and the UAE and Israel and Bahrain in September 2020, mediated by the United States. The announcement of August. Why is it written like this? Like, this Wikipedia article is trash. Okay, concerned Israel and the UAE before subsequent announcement of the agreement between Israel and Bahrain. September 11th, very interesting day. But I think this is also supposed to be, it says signatories are Israel, Bahrain, the UAE, Morocco, and Sudan. By 2017, unofficial cooperation with the Saudi Arabia has been ongoing for at least 5 years, with the intelligence services from both countries assisting each other on other officials regularly sharing intelligence. Oh, okay. In June 2023, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken warned Israel that rising tensions with the Palestinians, including rising tensions with the Palestinians, including through advancing settlement activity, threatened the expansion of normalization agreements with Arab nations, particularly Saudi Arabia. Speaking alongside Blinken early in June, the Saudi foreign minister had stated that without finding a pathway to peace for the Palestinian people, any normalization would be limited. Yeah, so I think that that's what it is. So they had an understanding since 2017, but they really probably want to get them onto this deal. But yeah, thanks for watching. This is my very first time. There's so much that I don't know, and so it's really great to watch commentators as well that know more than me, but yeah, know a lot more than me, and then I can learn from. So it's great. Anyway, bye.